Welcome back to the System Read. Today we are diving into the granddaddy of all self-help systems, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Sarah, I have to tell you, reading this revised edition felt like I was finally handed the user manual for humans that I've been looking for my entire career. It's not just a book, it's a tactical blueprint for systemic cooperation.
A user manual, Marcus? Or a handbook for high-level people-pleasing? To me, it reads like a relic of 1930s sales culture that's been awkwardly Botoxed for the modern era. It's a 2,000-word exercise in emotional labor, asking us to submerge our own identities just to make someone else feel like the center of the universe.
But Sarah, that's exactly why it works. The system is built on the most fundamental human drive. Carnegie cites John Dewey, who said the deepest urge in human nature is the desire to be important. If you can satisfy that craving, you hold the keys to the kingdom. It's the most efficient way to get things done.
Efficiency shouldn't come at the cost of authenticity. Let's look at his fundamental techniques. Principle number 1. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. I'm dying to know, Marcus, in your perfect Carnegie world, how does progress actually happen? If a bridge is structurally unsound, am I supposed to just smile and tell the engineer I love his choice of rivets? How do we hold anyone accountable?
You're looking at it as an attack on truth, but it's actually about psychology. Carnegie points out that criticism is futile because it puts a person on the defensive. He uses the example of Two-Gun Crowley, a cold-blooded killer who, even as he was being smoked out by the police, wrote a letter saying, "Under my coat is a weary heart, but a kind one that would do nobody any harm." If a murderer doesn't blame himself, what makes you think your lead developer will accept your constructive criticism?
So, because Al Capone thought he was a public benefactor, I have to treat everyone like they're fragile porcelain dolls? Carnegie says, any fool can criticize, and most fools do. But honestly, Marcus, don't complain sounds like a recipe for a toxic, passive-aggressive workplace where everyone is seething behind a mask of honest appreciation.
It's not about being a doormat, it's about the honey and the beehive. If you want the cooperation, don't kick the hive. Even Lincoln, who was a master of the lurid personal incident in his youth, learned this after nearly being killed in a sword duel because he ridiculed a politician. After that, he almost never criticized anyone. He realized that criticisms are like homing pigeons. They always return home. It's a survival system, Sarah.
Fine. Let's talk about his 6 ways to make people like you. Principle 3. Remember that a person's name is the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Marcus, have you ever actually been on the receiving end of someone overusing your name? It feels robotic. Hello, Sarah. How are you, Sarah? Would you like a coffee, Sarah? It's like talking to a malfunctioning NPC in a video game. It's a glitch in the social matrix.
Well, maybe if they do it poorly. But look at Jim Farley. He could call 50,000 people by their first names. That magic helped put Franklin D. Roosevelt in the White House. He'd meet someone once, ask about their hollyhocks in the backyard, and a year later he'd remember it. It's a system of subtle flattery that works because the average person is more interested in their own name than all the other names on Earth combined.
Exactly. It's subtle flattery. It's a performance. It's performing interest for a result. It's what I call smiling sociopathy. You're not interested in the hollyhocks, Marcus. You're interested in the vote, or the sale, or the contract. You're using the name as a psychological hook to bypass their defenses.
But if the result is that the other person feels seen and valued, does the motive matter? Carnegie tells the story of a sandwich shop worker, Eunice, who was always scowling, until a customer simply used her name. Suddenly, he got extra ham and lettuce. The system created a better experience for both of them. Is it fake to want a better sandwich?
Oh, a better sandwich. Truly, the pinnacle of human connection. It's just manipulation with a side of potato chips. Let's move to the yes, yes method. The secret of Socrates. Marcus, this is where it gets really dark for me. This idea of asking questions that force the other person to agree until they've embraced a conclusion they would have bitterly denied a few minutes previously. That's not a conversation. It's a psychological trap.
It's a Socratic method, Sarah. It's about setting a psychological process moving in the affirmative direction. When a person says no, their whole neuromuscular system sets itself on guard. But when they say yes, the organism is in a forward-moving, accepting attitude. Why fight an uphill battle when you can gently lead someone downhill? It's what James Eberson did at the bank to get a difficult customer to open an account. He didn't argue, he just got the yeses.
It sounds like grooming. You're essentially tricking their biology into compliance. You're not winning them to your way of thinking. You're herding them into a corner where pride prevents them from backing out. It's the same vibe as arouse in the other person an eager want. Carnegie says, I didn't think about what I wanted. I thought about what they wanted. He baits the hook with worms for the fish, even though he likes strawberries and cream.
Exactly. Bait the hook to suit the fish. Why talk about what we want? That's childish and absurd. The only way to influence people is to talk about what they want and show them how to get it. If you want your son to stop smoking, don't preach. Show him it will keep him from making the basketball team. It's the ultimate win-win.
Is it? Or is it just another way to never have to be honest? It's a world where everyone is baited into doing things. It feels so hollow. And look at admit you're wrong. Principle 3 in Part 3. If you are wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Marcus, you have to admit, that one is at least partially performative. You use the story of Carnegie and the mounted policeman. You admitted you were wrong just so the cop would feel magnanimous and let you off.
Guilty, but it worked. Instead of breaking lances with him, I beat him to the punch. I said, "Officer, you've caught me red-handed. I have no alibis." By condemning myself, I gave him a chance to show mercy, which satisfied his feeling of importance. We both walked away happy. Isn't that better than a fine and a bad mood? Admitting you're wrong raises one above the herd. It's what Robert E. Lee did after Pickett's charge at Gettysburg. He took all the blame himself.
But Lee did it because he was a man of character. Carnegie suggests we do it because it's a technique to produce astonishing results. There's a massive difference between being humble and using humility as a tactical weapon. That's my core issue with this whole system. It turns genuine human interaction into a series of principles to be deployed for profit or prestige.
I hear you, Sarah, but Carnegie is very clear. The principles taught in this book will work only when they come from the heart. I am not advocating a bag of tricks. I am talking about a new way of life. He even quotes Emerson. Every man I meet is my superior in some way. In that, I learn of him. If you truly adopt that mindset, it's not a trick, it's a transformation.
A new way of life that conveniently makes you a salary of over $1 million a year, like Charles Schwab. Schwab said his ability to arouse enthusiasm was his greatest asset. He was hearty in his approbation and lavish in his praise. But Marcus, if everyone is lavish in their praise all the time, praise becomes worthless currency. It's inflation for the ego.
Tell that to the 314 employees whose boss stopped driving and criticizing and started using appreciation. He turned 314 enemies into 314 friends. Even the janitor started calling him by his first name. He found far more happiness in his business and in his home. Is that worth nothing?
It's worth a lot, if it's real. But when I see a principle like dramatize your ideas, I can't help but see the showmanship. The guy who threw pennies on the floor to sell a cash register, or the market report presenter who dumped 32 jars of cold cream on a desk to get attention. It's all so loud, so desperate for that feeling of importance.
The movies do it. TV does it. Why don't you do it? Merely stating a truth isn't enough anymore. You have to make it vivid. If you want people to listen, you have to use the system. Even the great S. Hurok, the impresario, had to drip with sympathy just to get his temperamental stars to go on stage. He lied to the audience saying the singer had a cold just to save the singer's face.
He lied. Thank you, Marcus. That is the legacy of Carnegie in a nutshell. It's a guide to being the most adroit and suave liar in the room. You let the other person save face not out of kindness, but because hurting a man in his dignity is a crime that might come back to bite you later. It's a handbook for smiling sociopaths who have learned to bait the hook so well that the fish never even knows it's been caught.
Or, Sarah, it's a guide to kindness for people who were never taught how to be kind. Carnegie points out that we nourish the bodies of our children and friends, but how seldom do we nourish their self-esteem? We give them roast beef and potatoes, but we neglect to give them kind words of appreciation that would sing in their memories for years. If the system teaches a hard-boiled manager to give a cigar instead of a lecture, or a father to write a letter of remorse to his son, isn't the world better for it?
Father forgets. I'll admit that piece is moving, but I still worry that the system encourages us to bite our tongues and keep saying as if it were a ritual, he is nothing but a boy. We're still performing, Marcus. We're still regulating the action to indirectly regulate the feeling. It's a lot of work to be that perfect.
But it's work that pays off. Look at the shortcut to distinction. The ability to speak, to influence, to win people to your way of thinking. It puts you head and shoulders above the crowd. It takes you from a Missouri farm to training the executives of large corporations. It's a system for success in a world that is hungering and thirsting for sympathy.
Well, Marcus, you certainly used the yes method on me today. I found myself agreeing with more of your points than I'd like to admit. I suppose I should give you a fine reputation to live up to and call you the most stimulating conversationalist I know.
Hearty in my approbation and lavish in my praise, Sarah. But seriously, whether it's a user manual or a sociopath's handbook, the results are undeniable. The system has revolutionized the lives of many people.
Perhaps. I'll just keep my stinging criticism to myself for now. Mostly because I don't want to kick over the beehive.
Progress. We'll see you all next time on The System Read. And remember, smile. It's worth $1 million.
Thank you for listening to this discussion on the System Read podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button and subscribe to ensure you don't miss our upcoming deep dives.